Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about suicidal ideation. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is a thinker. So, with that being said, I have Gina here, my special guest, who's really going to break this down for us so we can really think about it. So, Gina, I have to ask you, when you hear the word suicide, what does that make you think about?
Oh, I immediately go to my heart space and I honestly every single time and obviously hear it all day long now. I just take a minute and I imagine that soul as a rose and I hold them and I just kind of, surround it with love. I just want to give it always a minute if possible. Yeah.
Mm, that's beautiful. And how is that? I it's a beautiful visualization because I'm a visual person. So when you described it, the rose and holding it and just knowing how fragile, but how defensive a rose is already with its thorns, but knowing that you can still show it affection and acknowledgement is such a beautiful thing, such a beautiful statement. Because when people think of suicide, they don't go to that. They don't go to that at all. So you kind of threw me off for a little bit. I was like, wow.
I know you're
I had to think about that for a second. I was just like, wow, that is truly beautiful.
Well,
So,
I did get a visualization in my second book, and from the people that have passed, and that's what they showed me. They said that they are holding space for people like us to bring levity to the subject and to help people. The people have passed on is actually helping all this content get out. They want others to not have to go through what they went through, and they communicate through roses to me and everyone else, if you and yeah, it's from them to help support our cause.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's really nice. It's really beautiful. But because of this, and to help your cause, why did it, I mean, why help? Why help? You could have kept this information. You could have helped just a local community, but you are branching out of where you are at and the people that you can affect. And you are now trying to grasp and like help so many others outside of your space. So why? Why help?
Well, this is just my destiny, and I didn't know it obviously for years and years and years. I was lost in the muck. I had no idea why I was here and if I even belonged here. And obviously, I suffered through suicidal ideation most of my life. And when you're in love and you want everyone to be in love, and you're like, you can be in love too, and you can be in love too. This is great. We should all feel this way. I
Yeah.
kind of felt like when I knew that I had healed it in myself and that I wouldn't allow, I reprogrammed my mind and my body and my soul, and I collapsed it in on itself to where I was actually so in love with myself that I knew I would never hurt myself. I would never, life would still be challenging, but that part was actually absolutely totally healed. I almost wanted to share it with the world, just telling everybody that you don't have to live your whole life like this, because suicidal ideation is a slow death in itself. Even though they might not actually do it, and do it is always around the corner. You're always waiting for that shoe to drop. If you lose your job, or if you have a breakup, or you lose a friend, or you have a big fight with someone you love, you are fearful that it's so, or sort of like hanging around and waiting for you to have a bad moment, and it stops you from progressing to your real dreams and your real what you're here to do. And when you get rid of that, you can actually climb up that hill and get through the obstacles and do the things that you're meant here to do. And so I just wanted to share it, and I'm a big picture thinker anyway, so yeah, I just was like, let's just tell the whole world.
Right? Why not? Why not tell the whole world? There's nothing that can hurt you if you try to help people. I
It's
know there
so
are people who
difficult.
people can misunderstand and misinterpret people's motives and intentions, but there's always going to be those people who are out there. But if your heart is in the right place and your intentions are always where they're supposed to be, then at the end of the day you can sleep peacefully at night that you're doing what you can in the area that you feel is important, and this is the area. This is what is, I love the fact that you said this is my destiny, that this is where I feel like it, where I need to be. It's your safe space now, that something that was lingering on you, that like you said was right there in the back, just waiting, just give me any reason, just right there in your ear, because we're ready to go. Those are like those bad friends that are ready to buck up whenever the situation comes. Like, no, that takes time. And I love the fact that you said it took time, because people think it's like a quick potion, like it's a quick take a shot, it'll be done, it'll, or take something and it'll be done. But it's like sometimes you don't have to take anything. Sometimes you have to take yourself, you know what I mean? And just like reposition yourself, reposition the perspective, reposition the stories, the lies, and then just throw some facts to it. You know what I mean? And oh my goodness, I love the fact that that's what you were able to do, and you were so honest and open, that you come on these podcasts and you connect with people and sharing your story, because you really don't have to, but you do. And it's a beautiful thing, because there's so many people out there that are disguised and with this mask of, oh, I'm fine, everything's okay. And that is the reason why so many people are completely shocked when they find out it's death by suicide. I mean, what is your opinions on that?
I just have to take a minute here.
Take your
Because
time.
what's coming to my mind is, ever since I was little, I would tell people, I love people. People are great. I want to be friends with every single person on the planet. I remember being very young and saying that, and people are like, mm-hmm. And I still, it's a part of my youth that I did even when I was going through hard times. I would be like, I love people. And I can't, and I still, when I say I love people, I honestly get a huge reaction from people saying, you do? And that's where I think if you think about that, we need to change that.
Yeah,
That's the tribe that we lost, the community that we lost. We have too many lonely people in the world. It's their, and we're not going to solve everything, but just that loneliness. Oh my gosh, it's just, we've gone so far away from our tribe that you know we used to just be like little tribes where we all had a place, we all had a purpose, and the elders were taken care of and the kids were taken care of, and we knew our role, and if we wanted to do something different we could dream and do it.
yeah,
But now we're really separated, not just by family and people, but by cement and wireless and waves going through our bodies constantly. I mean, we are 50 trillion cells put together in one physical form. And these 50 trillion cells have, every single one of them has a little bit of energy. And that energy collective makes up who you are. And you can either send positive and loving thoughts through that energy, or you can spiral down into the negative energy. And you can throw energy on people, or you can throw them love. It's just, we got to get back to, we have to start transforming as much as possible into love constantly. Just transform it to love. Like, I go through all kinds of different things still now, but I'm programmed now to say, okay, let's look at it differently. Let's take a breath. Let's go on a walk. Let's, I don't go back into my old triggers. I don't respond that same way. I don't let it take over my body. And then I try to go back to love and meditate on it for a minute and figure out, is there a way I could deal with this that still is loving, that
mm,
is respectful of my boundaries? And most of the people in this world have either some kind of trauma, and that's what we're here. We're here to experience life. Otherwise, we would be aliens that all marched and look the same, right? The beauty about being who we are is we're all unique, we're all different, and we all have a different story. But
mm,
so in our uniqueness is great, but we actually are all the same. We're all going through a crazy journey, and having respect for each other's journey wherever they are, and stopping to throw judgment, because judgment is an energy that will, I feel it all the time still. And I have to, especially now that I'm in the public a lot. And I have to like put up my Wonder Woman shield sometime, like, nope, I'm not gonna
yeah,
listen to that one, and nope, I'm not gonna listen to that one. But
yeah.
um what happens is those people that say that or do that or manage, they're the ones that are gonna get that energy back, and they're gonna be the ones that spiral. And we don't want anybody to do that. We have to lift up as a community.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot because people don't realize that we have gone from a community perspective and culture and religion to an individualistic one. And now it's about just being so bold in your individuality and embracing your individuality and trying to be as independent as you can or as individual from anybody, from your family members, from your siblings, from your coworkers. Just you always have to be one. But one is just the loneliest number. That's
Oh,
why it
it's so
doesn't stop
lonely.
at one. It continues on because community has is more. And I liked how you said that before that we worked together. They respected their elders. They helped their elders. They took care of the young. They looked out for one another. That village raising each other and helping each other. I mean, those were times that people now are just so like you said, they have this judgment, and they have this fear and they're scared. And so many people live in fear. So many people just are too paralyzed to just try to step out of it. And it's because nobody talks about that. They've gone through that feeling themselves. You know what I mean? And then we think that we have these mental breakdowns by ourselves. And I like how you also said that yeah, we're unique in ourselves, but we have so many other similarities. And it's true, we have so many similarities. We go through similar breakups, we go through similar hardships, we go through similar losses. Yes, it may be affecting us at different times in different places in different parts of the world, but it doesn't take away the fact that we're feeling it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that's something that we don't talk about enough. And I'm so glad that we get to talk about this because hopefully this will shine some light, letting somebody know that the idea that you're going through this alone isn't real, is not a fact, and you shouldn't claim that to be your truth. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And a lot of people who are suicidal that I've spoken to, and what I've kind of boiled it down to as primarily is when you are you want a part of you to die, right? For example, you're going through a divorce and your identity is being a wife or a husband. And that's a part of your identity, and you don't want to let that go, and it's dying. So a lot of people go into this space where I don't know how I'm going to be without that identity.
Yeah.
So it's learning how to, and then what happens is the resistance and the effort, and then all the other really intense energies and anger come into that. And then it's really hard to let go of that identity. But a part of you is falling away because that experience is no longer serving you and there's other things to learn. So I
Yeah.
want people to know when they're going through that, if this resonates with them, it says, yeah, I'm like, maybe I'm not an A student right now, and that's the way I saw myself, that's my identity. And like they're so down on themselves. It's like, you know, release the identity, you know what I mean? Let there be a rebirth of the new identity and embrace it. It doesn't mean you have to let go of the physical body. They want that identity, a part of them to die or go away, or the pain of that identity to die or go away. So not the physical body. So just remember that that's kind of separate. And also healing is in a way a solo sport, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
you are the only one that knows what's going to serve you 24/7. So you have to take accountability. You have to say, I'm going to fix this. I'm in charge. You are in charge. You are actually the boss. Nobody's over you. Maybe at work, that's a job, right? Or whatever, but you are the boss of you, and you know what serves you 24/7. So it's sort of a solo sport, but you actually have a bunch of support. So people can support you and give you advice and hold you when you need holding. And there's all kinds of different things, but you have to go through it. You have to charge up the mountain. And you can
Yeah.
either choose to charge up the mountain with a boulder on your back or an axe in your hand, and it's your
Mm,
choice. And for
yes.
a long time, I had a boulder on my back. And when I'm talking about the boulder, it's like self pity. How come I didn't get family that I wanted? How come I didn't get to have kids? How come I don't get to have that title? How come I didn't get to go to school and get good grades? How come, and the self-pity party comes in because of childhood wounding
Yeah.
that wasn't your fault, but it needs to be all unpacked. And you don't have to carry that boulder. You can gently release it.
Yeah.
You're still going to climb that mountain, but
Hmm.
I walk along with my wounds now. I know my triggers. I have a toolkit. I have still panic attacks almost once a day. It's not that it hasn't gone away. I mean, it's PTSD. It's in my body. It's in my
Yeah.
soul. It gets lesser and lesser, but almost every night or in the morning, I'll have at least one panic attack, and I literally have to go and ground myself and run my tools and center myself and say and do my mantra in my head and be like, this is gonna pass. This isn't because you're not worth it. You
Yeah.
that's line or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that because it just makes it real. You know what I mean? It makes it real in the fact that taking that moment to just give yourself that realization of I'm not just this section. I'm not that's just this part of me. I'm more. It's like you when they say think of your life like a book, they really mean think about your life like a book because once you turn the page, you're not going back to recheck. No, you're trying to figure out what's going to happen next in the next book, in the next chapter. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to look forward, but it's so hard when we get stuck on one chapter because it like impacted us in such a
Oh,
way that it could either infect us negatively or it can heal us in a way that we didn't even know it was possible. So it's like hard to know what you're stepping into until you step into it, you
yeah.
know? So you have to give yourself the chance and you have to realize that sometimes our thoughts can lead us into a pendulum from one extreme to the next. And
Yeah.
it's about finding that balance. And I loved how you said that when you get panic attacks, you even have to find your toolkit and zen yourself out and recenter yourself to ground yourself. And I love that because it shows your vulnerability. And people need to be vulnerable because everybody needs to center themselves. That's the
Yeah.
type of thing that I even need to do. Oh my goodness, when I have my moments, I have my moments. So
Yeah.
I totally respect the fact that when you're going through that, you have to remind yourself of what's real and what's trying to embed into your mind of a lie so that you can make real again because you're so used to having that around, especially if you come from toxic families, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, or a toxic environment. And when you heal by yourself and you find these other communities, you realize it is a solo thing, but you don't really have to go through it alone because you find a
Yeah.
safe community. And when you find that safe community, you realize, wow, I'm not the crazy one.
No.
I'm not
And
the crazy one. I'm the sane one that's going through crazy situations.
it's not most to me, most people aren't crazy.
No.
The worst part is when someone is having some emotions and they're like spirit's trying to nudge them into another life that's really meant for them, and then they take a lot of medications, and some people need it, and I agree with that. But I know the entire families that are on medication, even children that are 5 years old, and without trying homeopathic methods or meditation first, to me. And then what happens is energetically and spiritually, what happens is that just numbs, and it just stops the progression of what you're going to eventually have to learn anyways. So
Yes.
I look at things like, I look at every person I meet, including you today and all these people that are listening, and every single thing that happens in my day as an opportunity. And I get a little excited because it's like, even if it's going to turn out bad, like I got a flat tire, well, it's an opportunity to learn a new thing. But I actually feel like I see life as a giant school now. And even if, like, I'm dating right now and like I like someone and it goes south after a little bit, then I'm like, well, what did I learn from that person and what can I do better? And instead of going inward and running some record player like I'm not enough or I'm
Yeah.
unworthy of love or whatever it is of the lower vibrations, I'm like, okay, next
Yeah.
What did I learn from that person? What did they give me? How can I take this and transmute it to love and let go of that with grace and honor and say thank you for that lesson. And it's like when you actually do that, it makes life a little bit more fun, I have to say, instead of the doom and gloom of like, yeah, I like that person, I wish it didn't go that way, but it did. And so I'm going to learn from it and let go with grace and not be harsh with them, and respect their journey too, but also holding respect for me first. And that's the number one thing, because when you have that, people can feel it when you walk into
Yeah.
a room and you got seniority. And this is what happens when you get healed, though, and I want to just go back for a second. If you do not love yourself, you will have suicidal ideation, I believe. That's the number one key. And a lot of people who have wounds or come from a traumatic anything, even veterans, whatever, what happens is, they're trying to fill a wound with they're trying to heal a wound, and they're go into fear so much. So they'll try to like not let a friend down or not let a job down or not, so they work hard. They try to be the best person they can. They give, 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 give to a point where they're like out of love. And then they forget to give to themselves and they forget to love themselves. And they don't understand that all those people will be better off if they love themselves first, actually. So
Yeah.
you're doing nobody any favors if you don't love yourself, not them, not you, not anybody. So you got to love yourself first. And what happens is when you start, I freaking love myself now. Like if nobody's giving me love, I just give it to myself and be like, ah, Gina, you're really cute today. I like your outfit, or whatever it is. It's like
Yeah.
I just do that because I deserve it and I need it. And I how else can I continue to do this if I'm not feeling love for myself? So it is a practice. And yeah, I feel a little ridiculous sometimes when I talk about how much I love myself.
I know.
But that's what
I
happened. I didn't love myself before. You can't hurt yourself when you love yourself.
exactly. And I think it's coming back down to trusting yourself again. You know what I mean? Especially going right back down to childhood, because you are taught to trust other people. And when they let you down, it hurts you. It starts cracking you inside. And then that's when the trust issues begin. But then when you get older, you have to learn to trust yourself. You have to remember your actions now affect you. Yes, those old actions, those old situations that happened in the past, yes, they still affect you. Nothing can ever devalue what you experienced, but now it's your turn to start loving yourself again. And
Yeah,
I
and those
love I love that. The fact that you also said that as long as you don't love yourself, you're gonna have suicidal ideation. And that opens the market for everybody who doesn't love themselves. And that's a lot of people. A lot of people don't love themselves and they don't know how to love themselves, but they expect other people to love them in the right way. But how can anybody love you in the right way? Quotation, quotation, when you don't even know what
are,
makes you feel loved and makes you feel joy and makes you feel happy. Because when had to go through my self-healing and I had to learn to love myself again, it was hard because saying I deserve something
mhm.
because I can, it chokes me up. Just shows that healing is always happening because you always hear you don't deserve it or it's not for you.
Yes, honey. Oh, a big hug for everybody.
But
Yep.
the reality is that you deserve it because you want it or you feel like it's right for you. So it's like, give it to you, give it to yourself. Give yourself a chance and have that what if. Like we always get stuck on that what if of the negative side, but it's not. What if it doesn't work out? Okay. So now you know it doesn't work out. Or what if you doesn't work out, but you know the reason why it doesn't work out because it doesn't work with the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the way that you act, your morals. You know what I mean? Like I personally can't do certain type of work because morally it's not for me, but other people can. Vice versa. That's everybody's choice. So it comes down to does it make it you feel loved? Does that make you feel worthy? Does it make you feel respected? And I don't think a lot of people feel respected, loved, and worthy anymore. They think, oh, if I get a like or if I get a look, I get a glance, then that could be that feeds my ego, that feeds my if I feeds my acceptance, but you're searching for the world to fill something in you that doesn't even require the world, it requires you.
Yeah.
You are talking to yourself to love yourself again, to hug yourself again. And I loved how you said sometimes you feel foolish by talking about how much you love yourself, but oh my goodness, sometimes you have to. Sometimes I literally have to say, Mitzi, you are beautiful. Mitzi, you are strong. Mitzi, you are great. Oh, you deserve this, and it gives me chills because it's like, we don't say that enough. We don't have compassion to ourselves, but we are quick to be compassionate to the next neighbor, to the next John Doe or Harry that's out there. But what about ourselves? Have you been nice to yourself? Did you say good job on making that grade or good job on just making it home and not dying? Do you say good job for cooking a meal? It may not be a five-star meal, but hey, you cooked a meal that fed your family and everybody goes to bed with a full stomach. That is those little things get overlooked so much and it's so sad. And it's
Yeah.
like once we start having little milestones, man, those big ones, you can really praise yourself for those big ones. And it's a beautiful feeling. Mm.
Yeah, and you start to call in people that are more like you that are because what happens when you're in that state of you're not really in love with yourself and that you're still wounded, you're going to call in other wounded people. So now you're just wounded people hurting wounded people and it's a big mess. So
Hot
this
mess.
is a really great journey. You take it if you take yourself and go on this journey. And also because I do kind of spiritual teaching and stuff like that, I also tell people that doesn't mean you have to be a doormat. We're not asking you to be a doormat. As like some people are like, you just have to love everyone and be super this and that. In a way, yes, but you don't have to lower your morals. You have to lower how you feel. You don't have to take anything that isn't for you. It's not about being a doormat. It's actually the opposite. It's about having your seniority. It's about walking with your heart held high, your shoulders back, walking into the room, owning it. Understand that you are the most complex, interesting, cool person that ever walked in the room, and so is everyone else. And then just own it and see everything as an opportunity. And it's like, it's actually kind of fun. And then help other people, then go into service. The last thing when you heal is the last little bit when you're kind of in a good space, now you want to go into service and you help other people. It is a part of the final leg of the journey. When you actually start going in and volunteering or writing or are now speaking to other people about it, that's going in service. And now the energy is going to shift again in a whole different, beautiful way for you. And the other thing that I always been telling a lot of people is all my friends that have kids, all of their kids have gone to funerals for people who committed suicide. When I grew up in the 70s, I never went to a funeral for suicide, and none of my friends did either. This is a thing that's happening now. 10 to 14-year-olds is the fastest age range in suicide. This is actually 911. And the thing is that those kids are mimicking what they see in adults. So
Mhm.
we need to watch our P's and Q's online. I'm sorry, if you're an adult, if you're over 18 years old, watch what you put out online. Don't bully other people. I mean, yes, you might want to yell at them for some political belief or something like that. But if you have to be really sure what you're putting out there, because the reason why these kids are feeling like they need to leave is somehow how they're mimicking the energy of the adults because they're children. They
Mhm.
just learn from the adults. So as a collective, if we all say the adults are going to do better and we're going to heal ourselves, let's heal ourselves for the children that want to die. If you don't want to do it for yourself, that's a really good reason.
Exactly. I like that reason. It's a good enough reason for me to remember that whatever you put out there into the world, it has a ripple effect. You may not see it, you may not acknowledge it because maybe you don't get likes, maybe you don't get traction, but maybe you get that one person that slides by quietly, sees, and that can affect them in such a way. It could be something good and be like, oh, yes, this is what I needed to motivate me to change. Or maybe it's something that they needed and breaks them apart. Even if it breaks them apart, why would you want to keep breaking people? There's no point in having more hurt people in the world. We want to heal each other and come back to the community and be a community and be a safe space because we need more safe spaces in a place where evil runs rampant. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So always keep on that in your thought in the back of your mind. But time is catching up on us, and it's so sad because man, Gina, this
Ah!
conversation is so good. I feel like we could keep talking. But if anybody out there who's listening and who resonates with what Gina has to say, please check out her lovely book, check out her website. I have on mine, and see everything that she has to offer because she has a lot to offer to the world. And you're going to want to check it out so that you can keep on thinking, y'all. So, with that being said, always keep thinking, y'all. Bye.